Here we are inside the key of Basketball Manitoba, actually the physical key that's in the office here on the 3rd floor. Beautiful hard courts. Miss Jillian Kehler, how are you this fine afternoon?
Pretty good, how are you?
Fabulous. Now, we're going to talk some basketball.
Okay.
Okay. Let's talk about our good pal Todd McCullough.
Tom McCullough? Okay. Do you know who Tom McCullough is?
I kind of do. He was a big centerman that played for the 76ers back in the day, University of Winnipeg Westman. He was back in the day a CIS All-Star when they called it the CIS. He was the best or the earliest draft pick for an NBA team from Winnipeg, right?
Yes.
Is that enough about Tom McCullough?
Yeah.
There we go. Okay.
He also played for the New Jersey Nets, and he's, to this day, the only Manitoban to ever be drafted into the NBA. So hopefully there'll be more coming soon.
Absolutely. We have a good talent pool here in Winnipeg and Manitoba.
Definitely growing.
Yes, it is. So let's talk about the Todd Mack Hoops program.
Okay, so Todd Mack Hoop School, it's currently running. We run it in fall and spring. Right now it just started in October. It goes to about December, so it's an 8-week program. I'm in charge of it. I run it through 8 different schools over the cities. Inner City, Winnipeg School Division, Winnipeg 1 School Division, sorry. So the goal of the program is to get inner city kids involved, get them a program that they can have at no cost to them. Each participant gets a basketball and a t-shirt. We provide coaches curriculum and training, and then this year I was able to secure a Jumpstart grant, and with that money I'm going to be bringing all those kids from 8 schools to our building here at the Canada Youth Sport for Life Center, so they have an opportunity to see it, and we're going to have a Hoop Fest kind of jamboree, gets all the schools together. I'm going to organize a 3-on-3 tournament for them and some skills, and just have a fun evening, kind of like a wrap-up jamboree type thing for them.
So Jillian, what don't you do about this program?
What don't I do?
Seems like you do everything. You've got the big hat for this whole initiative, which I think is awesome because it really introduces the game of basketball, not just the game, but also what team games mean to a lot of younger children. So, I mean, you probably played basketball in your day. Probably have a good cross dribble. Long time ago. What was it that drew you towards your team aspects, and what do you love so much about the game of basketball?
Well, I grew up in a rural community, so I'm from a big hockey family. I do not like hockey, so I started watching basketball when Allen Iverson was playing, and I was 8 years old, and I just fell in love with him. I actually saw the movie Like Mike, and that really sparked my basketball love. So I started playing as soon as I was in, not as soon, when I was older, when I was in grade 7, because that's how it is in rural communities. You don't start playing until school ball starts up. So that was kind of what sparked me. So I wish there'd been programs like this in rural communities when I was younger, but I know that's just not how it is usually rurally.
Sure, but the game does evolve into areas that not normally would see basketball or other team sports offered. And such a great idea and a great opportunity to have it as no cost to the kids as well.
Yes, definitely, and the coaches are great. I have about 15 coaches across all schools, and obviously we couldn't do it without them. So they're all good, and I know most of them returning, and we got some new schools out this year. We haven't had any in about the past 8 years, new schools, so it's good to see some new faces.
Awesome.
And new kids as well. So
how did the schools get involved? Do they have an application progress beforehand?
So we take applications. I put them out in August for the fall intake. Deadline's mid-September, so that it's open to all Winnipeg School 1 divisions. They just have to be within that area. We will consider some other areas as well. And then in spring, I think I put it out in May, and then it runs at the end, or it runs in May and June, and then I put applications out in April. So anyone who wants to apply, we put them online, and I try to reach out to schools and get as many applications as I can.
That's awesome, and that's on the Basketball Manitoba website, right?
Yes, it is.
Awesome. A great program, a great initiative, especially to get a phys ed program or a group of kids that wouldn't normally see this sport and have the opportunity with coaches.
Funding, totally funded. Todd McCullough still supports the program, so I still call it the Todd Mack Hoop School.
Absolutely.
And Sport Manitoba supports it, and then Basketball Manitoba. So it's a very good program, and we've had great reviews on it, and the kids seem to love it. So. Of
course, yeah. I mean, we saw Danny Green here in the summertime.
I was not here, but I heard he was here.
Apparently he was here. He showed up. Todd McCullough is one of those guys. I mean, like, his reputation in Winnipeg is far beyond as one of the greatest basketball players to come from this great province. And now that the big man has kind of gone away from the league, or gone away from the game, so to speak, we're seeing more individual talents. We're seeing kids that are not so much 6'10", 7'1", but guys and younger males and females that are, that middle age, middle size, grabbing those
Yes.
skills, and I think that's what's going to be promoted here as well.
Yes, or seeing big men like 6'10" who are outside shooters and can play more than under the post. They're not just set under there from a young age and don't develop outside skills and stuff like that. So I think it's a good positive change for the game as a whole. So.
The game is developed, so like you said, you can't just
Changed a
have
lot.
the number 5 big man
Yes.
under the net, but you have guys like Katie, they can shoot the
Yeah.
3 and stuff like that, long and lanky.
Someone like Brown, who's probably one of the fastest people in the leagues, but he's huge. So.
Yeah, he could probably play tight end for the Cleveland Browns if he wanted
Probably.
to. Okay.
Well, the way their season's going.
They need some help, right? We'll leave football outside. We have another great, obviously the junior NBA program here in Winnipeg and surrounding area has grown immensely over the last 4 or 5 years.
Yes.
How and when does it start developing? How did we begin that program here?
So the junior NBA program used to be just junior NBA youth basketball. It was the rookie division, so that was an NBA Canada program. And then that was for ages 5 to 7. And then Canada Basketball had the Steve Nash youth basketball program, which you've probably heard of,
Yep.
which was 8 to 12 years old. So those programs weren't together and they didn't really build off each other. So about last year, 2018, the two programs merged. So now they're all under NBA Canada and Canada Basketball, and we all work collaboratively to grow that program. And it covers the fundamentals from 5 to 12 years old. So it's just a step-by-step by curriculum. So the goal is to move them through that phase, grassroots, all the way to the end of the fundamental stage, and then move them into the learn to train, or just active for life models. So I'm in charge of that program, administering it here in Manitoba and Saskatchewan. We've had good response, obviously, with the Raptors winning the championship this past year. We've obviously had more interest in the sport as well, which is great to see. So definitely growing, and it's a nationally branded program, and it's a turnkey program. They get everything. They get constant support from me in Canada Basketball. They get a basketball, jerseys, t-shirts. It's a pretty good program. So.
Now, being a national program now, is that because it's the fundamentals that are all being learned at a young age through each
Yes.
province now? Is it more like kind of explain that for me?
So it's based off the long-term athlete development model, which still kind of is what the Steve Nash model followed. But with nationally branded program, we had people from Canada Basketball and NBA Canada work on it collaboratively to develop the curriculum. So it's a fresh new curriculum that is been developed by Canada Basketball minds and NBA Canada minds. So right from the top down, and it's coming all the way down to the youngest age group. So that's just what it means when it's nationally branded, and then the brand, obviously. People see NBA, they know it. We were finding, and Canada Basketball is finding now with younger kids, they have no idea who Steve Nash was, so just kind of rebranding it brought some more interest into the program, so
yeah.
Makes me feel old, but...
No, Steve Nash is, for our generation, probably more recognizable than Barrett and the boys that recently been drafted over the last 3 or 4 years in the NBA. And
yeah, for sure.
So tell me about the experience, or what you think of the importance of having these role models that are now going to college, university here. Carleton University has a great program. Westman, Bison's here always have a great, challenging basketball programs. What does that mean to have role models like that for young basketball players here in Winnipeg and Manitoba that want to be part of starting the junior NBA program and working their ways up through their school programs?
Well, I think it's great. I know the U of M runs the junior NBA program with me, and I know they have mentors from their basketball programs actually coaching it. So that's great to see, because they can actually, if a 5-year-old sees a kid coaching them, they can actually see them at a higher level when they're older. And I just think that's good to see as well. And I think seeing, especially on the female side, obviously I'm female, so I'm a little more prone to that side. I think it's great for younger girls to see people like Kayana Gillis, probably said her last name wrong, so I apologize for that. But in our school visit program, I think it's great to see, and with what Emily Potter did as well, that there's more, you see more athletes who are female at a higher level, not just stop at age 12, which most girls do end up doing. Yeah. And then obviously on the boys' side, just that there's more options out there. And I know for just working with kids for a long time, I have a background with youth, lots of kids wouldn't be interested in going to university if there wasn't a sport aspect for it. So then they get there through sports, and then they find something else that they like academically, and then I think it's just builds a well-rounded adult in the future as well. So absolutely.
You mentioned Emily Potter. My son still has the autographed picture from last year's program in his bedroom, right beside the rest of his figurines. So Emily, if you get this, thank you for making a very good representation of basketball, and a great job you did when visiting my son's school.
We also saw numbers go up with the WNBA for that as well, just because kids were interested and they had a reach, and she did great, and all the other athletes that did it too, like AJ Bassi and Keith O'Mara and all those ones.
Yeah,
good really stuff. Good response with that. So
2020.
Yes.
What's coming up?
2020 Manitoba Games, that's on our radar. We'll be naming our coaches at the end of the month. We did have a pretty good response for coach applications, so that's going to be in not Morden, sorry. That was the last games that I went to. It's going to be in Dauphin, I think, August 9th, so I'll be out there for all those. We'll have 16 basketball teams, 8 per gender, And then this will be the first summer games that we fall under the new regional boundaries. So we'll
Awesome.
have 2 teams from each region, except North just gets 1, and I think East just gets 1 team per gender. So,
Per gender?
Yeah,
Okay.
so we'll be working on that. That's going to come quick, and next stop is Canada Games, I guess. So.
There we go. So games in Dauphin, August 2020. Coaches, we'll be announcing those. Anything else we got to mention before we let you go?
I think that's it.
You watching the rap show?
Obviously, yes. But
Obviously.
I'm a Wolves fan. So.
Oh, okay. So you're a big fan of is it Carl Anthony Towns that still plays for the old?
He does. I'm a fan of him, but I'm a really big fan of Josh Okioji, which most people don't know what he is, but I think he was actually here. He played for Team Nigeria in that Team Canada
Yes.
versus Nigeria game, so
Okay.
I really enjoy him, watching him play. I think he's going to have a breakout season this year, so we'll see.
Have you found a recipe for spicy peas?
No, I have not, but
Okay.
I do enjoy watching him play as well.
The long, lanky player is now
Yes.
the in right now. So
He's killing it in fantasy right now. So.
he sure is. Thank you very much for joining me, Jillian Kehler, with Basketball Manitoba. We'll touch base with maybe Mr. Wedlake if he comes back in town next month, if he's not too
He
scared.
comes back, yes.
Right on. Thanks very much.